Yeah.
I'll give names when we're not live.
Yeah. I'd be interested as long as they're responsible adults.
You know them all. It's
okay.
Yeah. But
yeah, I'd be down.
Yeah, we should do that. And
just
I think
straight up invite me over, like, on podcast.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah.
I was at church and I was like, I want to do a podcast episode tonight. I don't know who with, but
yeah.
And so we go to the fellowship hall and I was just scanning people the whole time, like, all right, who am I going to interview tonight?
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the questions.
It is 9:45.
Do you probably want to get going within the next few minutes?
I'd like
so
to.
We're
if I leave now, I wouldn't have time to play my game, so it's already too late for game time.
Okay,
but I'd like to get ready for bed.
Let's try to do this like 15 more minutes. We'll call it that.
Okay.
Okay. So what is the most valuable lesson that you have learned while working at Willow House? I'm sorry. Actually, let's just do. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Most valuable lesson you've learned while working at Willow House. Because, like everybody, there was a time when you knew absolutely nothing about cabinets or that whole industry. And the learning curve is the hardest part of any profession, I truly believe. I think it's either the hardest or the easiest part, depending on what profession it is.
Probably the biggest lesson, I'd say, would be dealing with my anger at the shop.
Yeah.
Because, like, working with my uncle, a little tough.
Yeah.
And we butt heads a lot. And I never knew I had this anger issues until I met my uncle.
Yeah.
And anger issues really, really started to surface to a dangerously high level. And so learning how to deal with my anger, to seek the Lord's help. And I've really been growing with Ben lately.
That's awesome.
My uncle's grown a lot. And our relationship's good now. But it was a long road trying to learn to put aside my preferences and just get work done.
Totally.
Basically trying to learn emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a very honest answer, and I appreciate that, you saying that, because I think so often, and
I also learned how to build a box.
Oh my gosh. Building boxes, baby.
Oh, there was this one review that was so insulting. Like, congratulations, you've learned how to build a box. I'm like,
wow, that's
an actual review on our company.
Delete it. That ain't great. That's not even accurate.
You can't. I'm like...
But, okay, so yeah, anger management. So I think that...
You wouldn't expect that for an answer. Like, what'd you learn in cabinetry? Anger management.
No, but understanding the dynamic of how that shop is operated, that makes sense. Okay, because...
Honestly, like...
I've had times, I had times in the past where it was stressful just doing a basic task that I had to do, because it's like, this is a extremely, like, you got to think about the fact that this is a very high quality, expensive, all of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's a very,
look, any mistake is an expensive mistake.
Yes, exactly. And now it was stressful for me, not even having to deal with a management type role where you're actually having to be responsible for other people, and other people's shortcomings then come back on you because of a decision you did or did not make.
Yeah.
And then even if they didn't, even if I go and do my own thing, if you're in charge of me, then you are still accountable, like you said before. So I completely understand that, and have been in situations similar to that in the past, and will likely be in the future. But I think it's so easy to get caught up in just that, While you don't want to be clumsy, you also have to step back and be like, all right, this is just a job. This is a material thing. I want to do my best and provide as high quality of a product, and service as I possibly can. But at the same time, you cannot get to, and I'm saying this for myself, you cannot get so caught up with the, like, emotional, exactly what you're saying, the emotional stress of the situation. Right. Which I have, not to sound like I'm in a higher place than you, which I've seen you grow in, you know? So I think that's, I think, what you just said, I think that's key. And I agree.
Communication's also a big thing with
Totally.
management, and it's hard because like just because you're doing a good job communicating doesn't mean other people are doing a good job communicating.
Totally, yeah.
Because we have, I don't know if we had a receptionist when you worked there, but we have a receptionist now.
I think I don't want to say her name, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah.
And her job is entirely communication, right? Like that's a job of a receptionist.
Exactly.
To pick up the phone calls and email and communicate. Honestly, I think she's a pretty terrible communicator because like sometimes I'm like, hey, can you reach out to such and such company and let them know we're on our way? And she's like, well, I reached out to them last week. They know you're coming. I'm like, I'm leaving now to go there.
Yeah.
Like call them, let them know I'm coming.
Right.
You know, because not everybody has a perfect memory. Like,
Exactly.
Nobody has a perfect memory.
Yeah.
So
Totally. And I make that a point too. You know, when the day before or 2 days before a detail that I have scheduled, which I'm actually dealing with a guy right now that's like, we scheduled for me to detail his 3 cars 2 weeks ago to be tomorrow. Okay. And we're talking back and forth and just like this huge ongoing conversation. Exactly what you're saying, where it's like, you know, I'm doing my best to be proactive. I reach out to him today. I'm like, hey, just want to confirm that we're still good for the detail tomorrow. And he has not responded. So it's like stuff like that where it's like, you know, I could get stressed over that or I could just be like, it is what it is. If he responds, then great. And I will head over there and do the detail tomorrow. And if not, then that's the Lord's will. And I'm not going to stress about it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the mentality that so many people don't have, and that's what causes stress in work situations. And not just the element of being a good communicator, but in general.
And in terms of communication,
super important.
One thing I prefer to do is text, because that means I don't actually have to interact with somebody.
Right.
But also, like, as I've been learning, like, text isn't always totally reliable, and so it's like sometimes I need to, like, send somebody a text, and if they don't respond, I need to call them. Because, like, they're not looking at their phone. Maybe their phone goes off and they're busy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
Maybe it doesn't arrive. Maybe, you know, they don't understand. You know, tone is a big thing.
Yeah, which actually communication is really hard for me because, like you said, I have a phone that doesn't, like, have social media and has limited access to internet.
Right.
And so many times my phone, like most people have a decent signal most of the time.
Yeah.
My phone many times doesn't have a good signal because it doesn't have all of the backdoors that most iPhones do. So it makes it a little tough because, like, my phone isn't the best communicator.
Yeah. Excuse me. Wow. Yeah, I think that if I did not have to have some of the things that I have, right, which is Instagram and YouTube for running these different channels and accounts that I manage, if I did not have to do those things, I would much prefer to have a flip phone.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do, yeah, actually. So I have a personal YouTube channel that is under under my same Instagram name, which is Soundtrack47. It's SOUNDTRAK47, and there may be a dash in there depending on what platform it is. And then we actually, about 4 months ago, me, Nate, and Jake. You know Jake Knudsen?
I've heard.
So I'm actually having his dad on the podcast within the next couple months.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be awesome. They're real mechanically inclined and really great people. So the 3 of us were kind of like messing around and decided we wanted to start a YouTube channel. So we did that, and it's been going good. I'll actually send you the link if you want. But
nice. What's it called again?
So the one with the 3 of us is called Rev Rebels TV. So it's REVREBELS TV. And then we mainly do shorts right now. We've got a couple full videos, but even then it's like, I think our longest video is 6 minutes. So it's trying to keep them pretty short. But
I have a really hard time keeping consistent YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's it's such a thing because it's such a saturated market. Like, everybody has a YouTube channel.
Like, I do Minecraft videos, and, like, there are plenty of other better Minecraft channels to
That's
watch.
what I'm saying. Like, to be good at something, you have to be the best at something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a way, the way social media works, it's hard to just be there and do well. Yeah. You know, so...
I also think a big thing is, honestly, like, I feel like some of the best, like I've seen good YouTube videos from people who have 3 subscribers.
Totally, yeah.
But like, I think the biggest thing is consistently uploading.
I agree.
Like,
and that's
the YouTubers who do well upload like once a week at least.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to get into a rhythm of releasing a short. And now that's even a new thing too. Shorts was not a thing like a couple years ago.
Yeah. Which are becoming more popular.
Definitely, yeah. And
because people's like attention spans are getting shorter.
Yeah, which is a whole nother conversation, man. Believe me. But yeah, I mean, shorts are a great tool because you can manifest what you're doing in your channel. You know, in a sense, which is different from Instagram or Twitter or anything else like that, because you get to actually have. If I want to post a 4-hour video, I could do that on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I can't do that on Instagram. Yeah. You know, so it's like you get to kind of give people the hors d'oeuvres of what your channel is and does, and then let them decide whether or not they want to subscribe and watch your full videos.
Have you seen Gruff?
No.
Check it out on YouTube.
Is it a channel? What do they do?
So it's a channel that does mostly shorts on this movie that this guy was producing. And I spent years watching this guy produce, and it's a movie built out of paper. So he's using paper clippings and paper puppets to create a movie. And finally, recently, like last month or so, he finally released. It's a short movie. It's like maybe a 10-minute movie. It's a short film.
Interesting.
But he spent years making all these paper clippings, all these paper characters, paper planes.
That's crazy.
And it's all really detailed too. So it's not like a paper plane that you would think of, but like a paper, or like a fighter jet made out of paper.
That's wild.
Honestly, it's good, and emotionally, it's gripping, gruff.
Dang,
I'd recommend it. Yeah,
cool.
Like, shout out to a channel that I don't even know the guy who made it, but yeah, gruff is good.
Oh yeah, and speaking of shout outs, we have Instagram. The Neon Camouflage Podcast. You can find us under that name on Instagram.
Isn't that this podcast?
That is this podcast. Obviously, Rev Rebels TV is our YouTube, and my personal Instagram and YouTube is both Soundtrack47. So go do what you will with those. I never want to ask people to subscribe or anything. I want you to subscribe if you genuinely enjoy the content and want to see more of it. Also, feedback is great. Any comments or anything that you guys have to say is always welcome.
Yeah.
DM us. What's that?
Feedback is always appreciated.
Yes. Positive or negative.
Yeah. On my channel, like, I appreciate it. Guys, like, hey, you need to work on this and this and this. I'm like, great.
Fantastic.
And then another comment, it's like, you suck. It's like, okay. Well,
okay.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't help.
Yeah, we get our fair share of negative comments. Actually, that's not true. I've had only 3 or 4 real negative comments, which is nothing. Mm-hmm. What was I going to say? I'm pretty sure I was going to say, okay, we are currently taking guest applications. So if you or someone you know is interested in coming on the Neon Camouflage Podcast to talk about your current or past career, and you would like to have somewhat of a platform to speak to the younger generation, which is the majority of our audience, feel free to contact me directly. Probably a DM message on Instagram is the best way to reach me. And so, yeah, I mean, if you got anybody or if you're that person, then hit us up and let's schedule a time to have you on. That'd be awesome. So, yeah, man. Any closing thoughts or anything?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This was fun.
I didn't think a podcast is something I'd ever do.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of, neither did I.
Yeah.
It's kind of a random thing, but typically, actually, an interesting thing is typically I send people questions beforehand.
Yeah.
So that they have a chance to think about what they want to say.
Yeah.
But I think some of the best conversations are the authentic ones where it's like, we figured out that we were going to do this an hour before it happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
an hour ago, you're like, yo, you want to do this? I'm like, no.
No, but... Oh, by the way, what was the game you were playing?
Oh,
just for gits and shiggles.
I don't like that. Detroit Become Human. It's a super interesting game. I'm loving it so much. It's about you know Telltale's game series.
No, I don't.
Telltale's game series is great.
I don't.
This
really
game isn't by
games.
Telltale's.
Okay.
But Telltale's game series. So it's a story-based game where, like,